So one cold November day, I was out for a walk with my wife and baby and I spotted this poster advertisement on the street. For those who don't understand Lithuanian, it means the Roma language is closely related with Sanskrit. Know/learn not to be afraid. It definitely got me curious about why the poster exists. As you can see at the bottom, there are a few partners on this initiative: the European Union, a Lithuanian government ministry, and the city of Vilnius, among others. And so this curiosity has led me to making this video. The first thing to do before starting my research was to put my own preconceived ideas about the Gypsy/Roma people aside. I would recommend that you do the same, at least until the end of this video. Because from what I was told about these people, they were nomadic, they didn't want to settle down or be part of regular societal systems, and they relied on crime as a way to survive. I still have this memory of visiting my friend in London almost 20 years ago, and him telling me to be careful with my stuff because there were gypsy pickpockets around. And so that memory plus what I've heard from others has really shaped my own pre-existing ideas about this minority. And so putting all that to the side, I learned about the long and troubled history of this group. So the Roma people originated in northern India, hence their language being closely related to Sanskrit. However, these people were driven out from their homeland by Muslims from the west. They fled north, and throughout history have been enslaved, persecuted, and driven out from place to place. I'm not going to explain the full history here, but it's worth watching some YouTube videos about it. It's really interesting, but also very sad. I think factors that exacerbate mistrust and non-acceptance is that, as a group, it is said that the Roma keep to themselves and have integrated less with the people around them wherever they have moved to. Having a different language, skin tone, and a very different way of dressing, on top of this tendency to keep to themselves, I can see why the societies around them would have developed feelings of xenophobia and mistrust. I think this has forced many Roma families to resort to crime and the black economy as a way to survive. But let's get back to that later. The website of the minority rights group says while there was some migration during the Soviet period, Roma in Lithuania, by and large, have a sedentary way of life. Part of the current Roma community relate themselves to Litovska Roma or Polska Roma, which translates to Lithuanian and Polish Roma. Some others in this country relate themselves to Roma communities in Russia or other CIS countries. The website adds that the Roma suffer from problems related to poverty, low educational attainment, large-scale unemployment, and social exclusion. A paper I found about Roma in Lithuania, written by Kristina Szukiewicz and Peter Bakker, says that they arrived here from Poland in the 14th century, while other scholars mention that they arrived in the middle of the 15th century through Poland and Belarus. The paper says that the Roma were also persecuted in Lithuania, and oppressive anti-Roma laws spread through Europe and then reached Poland and Lithuania in about 1557. To the extent that the Roma people were living a nomadic way of life before the 1980s, by 1980, all Lithuanian Roma lived in houses. And so it's this modern day situation that I'm particularly interested in. I asked my Instagram followers to offer their thoughts and impressions about the Roma people in Lithuania. Of the people that responded, a few mentioned the connection between gypsies and hypnotism. One told me that if gypsies look into your eyes, they will hypnotize you and take all your money and valuables. She also added, when you wake up, you won't remember what happened before. One person told me that a gypsy tried to hypnotize them in a parking lot, and then they added that gypsies had robbed their grandmother a few years ago, hypnotizing her through a hand reading. The same person told me that his father-in-law was robbed by gypsies, who got in front of his car and forced him to buy fake Swiss knives for a ridiculous price. More direct comments include one person saying that gypsies are dangerous, while another says that they are thieves, drug dealers, and liars, adding that they are dirty, uneducated, and not integrated. And I guess that leads us back to this poster on the street, the one that says that there is nothing to fear. I headed to the website at the bottom, romuplatforma.lt. The website is an initiative started by Lithuania's Department of National Minorities, and it aims to promote cooperation between Roma communities and local municipalities, as well as ensure mutual dialogue in solving issues relevant to the Roma ethnic minority, including social inclusion, education, healthcare, and culture. The project includes activities aimed at empowering Roma youth and women, and many events are organized that promote citizenship, activity, and social skills development. All of this, as you can imagine, is because of the fact that Roma often face discrimination, and so the project also focuses on promoting tolerance and fighting against negative stereotypes. I asked the administrator of this project if there was anyone on her team that was willing to offer a comment or even have a video interview, but they didn't respond. Nonetheless, it was hopeful to see on the website that Roma unemployment and illiteracy rates are steadily dropping, while primary education rates are increasing. So I'm guessing a lot of Lithuanians, and perhaps even some of you watching, will have had negative experiences with the Roma people in the country. And no, I'm not at all denying or discounting those experiences. Even just looking up old news reports, it's quite evident that Roma have been associated and linked with a lot of illegal activity. One report I found that discussed the complete demolition of Vilnius's Roma settlement describes how the area was a notorious hub for drug sales. The settlement was fully dismantled in 2020, and residents were resettled to other parts of the city. I'm sure these scenes broadcasted on Lithuanian news, showing how these people live and the association with drug dealing, very much reinforces the idea that Roma gypsies are bad people. That same LRT article said that Roma have really had a hard time finding other apartments simply because landlords don't trust them. A survey, which I think is from 2022, states that 91% of Lithuanians asked said that they would be uncomfortable with a Roma neighbor. But even just after a short amount of research, it's clear how this problem started and why it continues. It really does appear to be a vicious cycle. The Roma people are excluded from society or they keep to themselves, and this forces them into a life of crime and making a living, doing things that are illegal. And then this activity further distances them from being accepted by society, and so they keep to themselves, and the cycle continues through generations and generations. And so I think it's great that these government-funded initiatives exist to try and integrate this minority into larger Lithuanian society. As a people, they've been here for a few hundred years now, and they have no tangible connection to their ancestral homelands in northern India. So it seems obvious to me that integration into society, improving education, and employment will reduce crime rates associated with the Roma people. So as I wrap up this video, I think about the young lady who sat beside me in my Lithuanian language course at Vilnius University in 2023. Coming from France just to learn the Lithuanian language, I learned that she was adopted into a French family, but is in fact of Roma ethnicity. I have the feeling that if people knew about her ethnic background, they might have acted differently towards her. Maybe people would be a little more on guard. I even asked her about this with her own life experiences, and that's pretty much what she said. And in a way, it's understandable based on what people have learned about the Roma through the news and maybe even their own personal experiences. She's a really nice person, by the way. But the bottom line, at least for me, is the basic idea not to judge people by how they look, by how they dress, or the color of their skin, and instead by their character and their actions. I mean, hopefully we can all agree on that, can't we? Assuming the majority of viewers are not Roma, I'd love to know if you've had encounters with this minority, either positive or negative. And if they're negative, I'd love to know how that has affected your own outlook and interactions. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoy the videos on this channel and want to support my work, you can either buy me a coffee with a one-time donation, or join my Patreon with a monthly membership to get access to videos along with other perks. If neither works for you, just liking and commenting would be lovely. Thanks.